Cassidy Reads, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you follow me on my Instagram, recently I posted an IGTV video about my favorite books by indie authors and my favorite indie authors. If you do follow things that go on in the book community, there's been a lot of problems going on with indie authors. Basically, another indie author, I don't even really know if we can call her an indie author anymore, apparently went onto Goodreads on all of these books that were recently coming out by indie authors or books that have come out previously by indie authors and started giving them 1-star reviews and commenting about like how bad the books were and things like that. So I just wanted to basically give my support on my wonderful indie authors. I personally read a lot more books from indie authors than I do published authors. I feel like I have a better connection with indie authors. They're so wonderful to talk to and they're so great to me. I love meeting them at book signings and I just love supporting them because they put so much hard work into their books and they're basically putting themselves out there by publishing these books and working so hard. And basically, if you don't know what indie authors are, they're authors that publish their own books, so they don't use a publishing company like Berkeley or Gallery Books, and so they self-publish. And I think it's great that authors are doing this and there's more and more indie authors coming out, and I think that's wonderful. So today I thought I'd make a longer version of my IGTV video, and I want to talk about a bunch of authors that I absolutely love. I've either read like a lot of their books or maybe some of their books, or I just love them as human beings and I love talking to them on Instagram. So let's get started. So this list of authors is in no specific order. I absolutely love these authors. Like I said before, some I may have read all of their books, some I may have read some of their books, some of them I might not even have read all of their books, and maybe I just read a couple and I might own a bunch of them. But let's get started. So the very first, I have a huge stack of books in front of me. So the very first author that's on this stack is Janine Collette, or Collette. Again, I'm going to be pronouncing probably a bunch of these last names wrong, and I'm sorry, but this is a really bad idea, and this is the only book I actually have read by this author so far, but I do have a bunch of her books on my Kindle, and this is a friends to lovers romance. It was super cute. I really enjoyed it. She sent it to me last year, and I absolutely loved reading it, and I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The next author, I have read the whole series to the book that I have, but unfortunately I only have the first book in the series, and that is Dabney Perry's Lark Cove series, and this is Tattered. This is the first book in the series, and this series specifically is a small town romance. Dabney Perry I love her books. I can't wait to read more of her books. I do have a bunch of her other books, like I said, on a bunch of these authors. I have a lot of their books on my Kindle if they do have a lot of books. But I really do like this. It is a really great small town romance series, and I highly recommend it. This next author might not be a surprise to anybody who follows me on Instagram or who have seen previous videos on my YouTube channel, and that is Kathryn Cowell. And this is the Sutter Lake series. This is a 4-book series, also a small town romance. Kathryn Cowell is actually a pretty new to me author. I just started reading her in end of 2019, beginning of 2020, and I have fallen in love with her. I love her books. I love her. Watching her lives on Facebook are so much fun. I think she's just the sweetest person ever, and I can't wait to read her next few series that she's coming out with. She actually has a new book coming out, and that's going to be Reckless Memories, and I actually have an arc of it on my Kindle, and I can't wait to start reading it. The next author is one of my go-to darker romances, BDSM romance authors, and that is Skye Warner. This is the first book in the Pawn series. I believe that's what the series is called. There's a couple books in this series, and this is more of a BDSM romance, and I absolutely love her books. They are, like I said, on the darker side, so if that's not really for you, I definitely wouldn't really recommend Skye Warner because that's what she writes most about. But if you do, I highly recommend picking up Skye Warner. Like I said, she does write dark romances. They do have slight like BDSM to it, and I just love her books. And if you didn't already know, Skye Warner is the owner of the Dangerous Romance Club, which is a seasonal book box. So it comes in the spring, summer, fall, and winter months, and I actually recently became a rep for them, so I got their winter box and their spring box so far, and I absolutely love it. I actually have my rep code down below if you do want to go ahead and check that out. I highly recommend her book box. It's amazing. And I have a couple authors also on here that also have small shops and book boxes as well, so I'll mention those later on when I talk about those other authors. The next author is actually a debut author, so her first book just recently came out, and her next book is coming out in a couple weeks, I believe, and that is Sophie Sinclair. So this is Coffee Girl. This follows a country singer and a assistant to an assistant, basically, and it was such a cute romance. If you love country music and all things Nashville, she mentions a lot of things and a lot of country references in here. This is why I loved it, because I love country music, and like I said, this is the first book in the Coffee book series, and she is definitely a great author, so I definitely recommend checking her out. The next two authors I have to mention, again, probably no surprise to most people who watch my YouTube videos and my Instagram, or just check out my Instagram, and that is Keelan and Penelope Ward. This is the first book in the Rebel Air duet, and I love Penelope Ward and Keelan. They are some of my absolute favorite authors. I loved meeting them. I actually met them at the first time at TAE last year. I was supposed to see Penelope again at TAE this year, but it was canceled. Thanks Corona. But I absolutely love their books. Now, they are authors that write duo books together, and then they also have their own books as well. I love their books. I love their single books. They're just so good. They write a lot of office romances, a lot of enemies to lovers romances, and I definitely recommend picking them up. The next author I have to actually mention, I also did meet a couple of these I have met because I have gone to indie author signings, and that is Jennifer Van Wyck. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not, but this is a single dad romance, and I really have been enjoying her books. I haven't read that many yet, but they are on my Kindle, and I'm super excited to dive more into her books. I really do like her writing style, and I really loved this one. It was a really nice single dad romance, and it's also second chance romance, so definitely pick this one up if you like those tropes. The next author I have probably recommended to so many people, especially people who love small town romances, and I love her books, and I love her, and I hope to meet her one day, and that is Candy Steiner, and this is the third book in the Becker Brothers series, and I absolutely adore this series so much. There is 4 books in this series, and so far I only have the first 3, but I'm hoping to get the 4th one pretty soon. Candy Steiner writes a pretty good amount of small town romances, and then she has a college romance as well, a lot of standalones. She also has a second chance marriage story. I don't really know how to explain that one, but I really did love Candy Steiner's romances, and I can't wait to read more from her in the future. The next author, or 2 authors that I have to mention, again, really probably no surprise if you follow me on any platform, if you follow me on Goodreads, if you're friends with me on Goodreads, and that is Kennedy Fox. Now, I've mentioned Kennedy Fox multiple times here on YouTube, and Kennedy Fox is a duo, so this is a pen name, and that is made up from Brooke and Lyra Parrish, and I absolutely love Kennedy Fox. I have read every single book by that, like, their pen pal names. I haven't read their single books just yet, but I absolutely love their books. They have a lot of different tropes. They have some single dad, they have cowboy romances, they have enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, but I definitely love their books, and I can't wait to continue reading for them. I try to get all of their arcs. I absolutely adore their books, and their book, actually, Catching with the Cowboy, came out today, and that's super exciting, and this is the first book in the Circle B Ranch series, and this is a spin-off series to their Bishop Brothers series, and if you love cowboys, I definitely recommend picking up this series and the Bishop Brothers series. I've mentioned that quite a few times. I'm sorry I keep mentioning them, but I just can't help it. I love their books. The next author is fairly new compared to the other authors that I have already mentioned on this list, and that is Jasmine Miller. So this is fresh meat, and this is a single dad romance. I guess I like single dad romances, but I absolutely love Jasmine Miller's books. They're just so I feel like so happy after reading them. A lot of them just like put a smile on my face. They have funny moments, and this one, like I said, is a single dad romance. It's an Olympic swimmer and his nanny romance, and it's super cute. I also really like The Husband Checklist by Jasmine, and I really can't wait to read more from her because I absolutely adore her books. The next author has also come about in the past year or so, or at least I have started reading her books in the last year or so, and that is Monica James. So this is another dark romance indie author, and this is the first book in a trilogy, and I loved this series. It was so good. It was kind of different from anything I've read before. So basically, this girl becomes kidnapped after being only married to her husband for like a few hours, and they're on their honeymoon when she gets kidnapped, and she's taken by this gorgeous man, and that is Sage. So it's their story and it's their trilogy. It's so good. I have loved Monica James since I started reading her books. They're just a little different from anything else, and so I can't really compare them to anything else that I've read before. So I definitely want to recommend picking up Monica James if you haven't read her before. She actually has another book coming out in May, and that is part of the Bullseye series, and it's so good. Or Duet, I'm sorry, but it's so good. The next author, I sadly haven't even read that much by her, but the book that I have read I did enjoy, and I only own this one so far, but I'm working on getting her other paperbacks, and that is Gianna Darling, and this is the first book in the Enslaved duet. Sadly, I don't have the second book just yet, but I love Gianna Darling. I know I haven't read that many books by her, but her as a human, she's just the sweetest thing ever. I love interacting with her on Instagram. I love just looking at her pictures. She's gorgeous, by the way. If you haven't seen her before, definitely check out her Instagram. She's so pretty, and she's just so sweet. I love seeing her pictures of her and her boyfriend. It's so cute. But I highly recommend this series. Again, this is also a little bit of a darker romance, a little bit of BDSM, so if you are into those kind of books, I highly recommend Gianna Darling for you to read. So good. Love her. The next author, I absolutely love this series. I can't wait for the next few books. The next book in this series is coming out, and that is Corrine Michaels, and this is the Hourwood Brothers series. This is the first book, and the second book is, it's a whole series about brothers, but the next book is Declan's story, and I am so excited for Declan's story. It does come out in May, but Corrine Michaels writes a lot of small town romances. They're so good. I have basically made my way through all of Corrine Michaels' books, except for some of her co-written books. I haven't gotten to those just yet, but I love Corrine Michaels. I'm actually on her Bookstagram team, and I just love her books, and I can't wait to continue this series. So if you like small town romances, this is kind of a second chance romance-ish, but it's so good. Definitely recommend reading it. The next author is probably no surprise that she's made her way onto any indie authors list, and that is Penelope Douglas. So this is Credence. This is definitely probably one of the most interesting books I read in 2020. I just love Penelope Douglas's books. She's not afraid to write any kind of taboo or forbidden romance. I love her books. My favorite book by Penelope Douglas is definitely Birthday Girl. So good. Age gap romance. Highly recommend it if you do enjoy those kind of books. But Penelope Douglas, I really do enjoy her books. They're just very different from a bunch of other forbidden or taboo books I've read, especially this one. If you haven't read this one, I'm not going to tell you that much about it, but definitely pick it up. It's so different. It will keep you entertained. Again, I might not have loved it, but I can definitely say I was entertained the whole entire time I was reading it, and I never, ever wanted to put it down. It was so good. The next author is also another dark romance author, and that is Willow Winters, or also known as W. Winters. Some of her books do say that on her books. And again, she's another dark romance, suspense romance, a little bit of BDSM, not like 50 Shades, but I love Willow. I love her books. Again, I'm making my way through her books. She has a ton out, but they're so good. And Willow is also another owner of a book box. So Willow owns the Big Book Lover box. She has a website as well as boxes, and I just love her products. They're so cute. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me mention so many products by her. She's got houseware stuff, she's got clothing and apparel, she's got obviously books and like things that you can use for reading. Definitely recommend checking out the Big Book Lovers site. Definitely recommend checking out Willow. Everything about her is just so good. The next two authors co-write, and they also have books by themselves, and that is Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. This is the first book in the hymn duet. It's an romance, and I absolutely adore this duet. I love, love, love Westme, and if you don't know who Westme are, it's the main character's like ship name. I just love this duet so much. I love Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. They write a lot of hockey romances, and that's one of my favorite. I love sports romances, and I love specifically reading hockey romances. They're so good. I just love their characters, and both of them are just so sweet to me. I love Serena Bowen. I'm actually on her ARC team, and I cannot recommend this enough. Like I said, if you really do enjoy romances and you haven't read this one yet, highly, highly, highly recommend picking it up. The next author I have absolutely fallen in love with in the past year or so, and that is Carrie Aaron, another person I'm on her ARC team, and I'm so, so, so thankful to be on her ARC team because I love her books. This is part of the Nash Brothers series. This is the second book in the Nash Brothers series, and I love her books. Again, these are also small town romances, really good. Each brother has their own romance, so there's 4 books in this series, and it's got there's age gap, there's enemies to lovers, there's second chance romance, and kind of like instant love, but not really. It's not like that instant, but really good romances. And my favorite book by her, I unfortunately don't own by paperback, and that is Hometown Heartless. That is a military romance, and she came out with that a couple of months ago, I believe. Everything is morphing into this same day with everything that's going on. I don't even know what day it is. But I highly recommend picking up Carrie Aaron. I love her books, and they're so good, and she's actually got a few standalones coming out in the next couple weeks, so that's awesome. The next author, I haven't made my way through all of her books, but she's got a lot. But she's also another hockey romance author, and that is Toni Leo, and this is part of the Nashville Assassins Next Generation, and she's also got the Nashville Assassins series, which this is obviously the spin-off. I believe that's what the other series is called, but I love her hockey romances. They are so good. I wish I could collect them all, but there's just so many. But if you really do like hockey romances, Toni Leo is one of my go-tos. The next author, I am also slowly making my way towards her books and her backlist, and that is Julianne E. This is a doctor, like, single dad romance. I actually got this in the Bell box, and I am a rep for them. Just so you know, all of my rep codes will be down below. Then they're always there on every video, just so you all know, and they're also in my link tree, my campsite, in my link on my Instagram bio. But highly recommend Julianne E. My favorite book by her is Look the Part, and unfortunately, again, I don't have a lot of these paperbacks. It makes me so sad, but I definitely need to stop buying books, at least for right now. But I highly recommend picking up Julianne E. I love her books. Her writing style is a little more, I feel like, sophisticated, and it's just so good. The next author I have to mention is Elle Jackson. I adore her books. There's so many series that I love by her, and to this day, my favorite book by her is Follow Me Back, and unfortunately, again, don't have that one, but I actually won this in the giveaway last year, and I'm really excited to have it on my shelf, because I haven't actually read this series just yet. I believe this is her Rockstar romance. I could be wrong, but I'm making my way through her books, and I really have enjoyed the books that I've read by her so far. The next author I have to mention, I have actually started reading in the past year or so, and that is Maya Hughes. Maya Hughes is a new adult sports romance author. She's got a lot of sports romances. I've read a couple of her other series, and I believe that's a sports romance as well. The Ruthless King series. Or King series. not sure. I'm so bad at remembering names of series. But I really do enjoy Maya Hughes' romances. I'm not a huge fan of new adult, but I really do enjoy her books. They're just so funny. I have a great laugh usually reading them, and the banterings between a lot of her characters are so fun to read, and I definitely recommend picking her up. The next author I have to mention, I literally have started reading in the past few months, and I have absolutely adored reading her books so far. I have a couple ebooks from her, I have a couple audiobooks from her, and that is Melanie A Smith. I love her. She's so sweet. She's so good to her readers, and she's just adorable. This is the first book in the Safeguard series, and she actually sent me these because she was getting the covers redone, and I'm so thankful that she sent me them. I haven't read them yet, but I'm so excited to read this series, and I have enjoyed a lot of other books that I've read by her so far. The next author is also a somewhat new to me author. I haven't read a ton of her books yet, but I do have a couple on my shelf, and I do have an ARC waiting for me on my Kindle, and that is Tania Del Mello. This is why I'm just gonna I don't even want to say their names anymore because I'm afraid I'm messing their names up. But she's so sweet. This is another kind of small town romance, and there's quite a few books in this series. I believe there's 5 or 6, and I only have the first 3, but I really do like her books, and I can't wait to read the Kindle book that I have on my Kindle waiting for me. It sounds so good, and I definitely recommend picking her up. She's a author that I actually haven't really heard much of, so I definitely want to recommend a couple authors that aren't like the main popular indie authors, because there's definitely so many indie authors out there that I haven't even read yet, but definitely want to recommend some that we haven't really heard that much about in the book world, and maybe one day they'll be just as big as Penelope Douglas and LJ Shen and all of them. The next author I have read a good amount of her books, and that is Kennedy Ryan. So this is part of her basketball series. It's the first book in the Hoops novel series. I love Kennedy Ryan. I love her books. They're so good. They're so hard to explain. Like, I don't even want to go into full details about her books because I could be here 4 days, but they're so good. I actually haven't read this series yet, but I got it in the Big Book Lover box, and I'm just so excited to get into it. I know there's already another book out in the series as well, and she's got so many great series, so many great duets. And again, I hope to get around to her books and finish her books soon. The next author, I actually have read her first book just like 2 weeks ago, and that is Megan Brandy. So I have never read Megan Brandy up until a couple weeks ago. I read this book. This also came in a book box, and I was so excited to read it because she's been highly recommended to me by so many of my friends. My friends love her. She's a high school but new adult style writer, and I've heard so many great things. I did really enjoy this one. It did keep my interest. I didn't love it, unfortunately, but I'm not huge into the high school age romances, but I'm definitely going to give her another shot. I have heard really great things about her books from other people, so I'm really hoping to read more by her soon. And the last paperback I have to show you is from none other than Tegan Hunter. I love this series. This series is so cute. Unfortunately, I have only read this one so far, but I do own the other ones. And I love Tegan Hunter. I met her for the first time at Indies Invade Philly, and her books are so cute. She also has the textual, I think that's what it's called, the series, and that I believe has 4 books in it, and that series is really cool because you see a lot of like text sent back from the hero and the heroines, and I love her books. I love her. She's so sweet, and I really do hope to pick up more of her books in the future as well. Now, the few next authors that I have to mention, I unfortunately don't have their paperbacks yet, but I really do hope to get their paperbacks soon. The first author that I have to mention is Kristen Granada. She also has been a somewhat new to me author. I've read her in the past year or so, and I really do enjoy her writing, and first of all, she's just a sweetheart. I love talking to her on Instagram. I just love seeing her Instagram. Every time she pops up, I get so excited because I just love seeing her post, and I just love seeing her talk about this whole support indie authors thing. She is sadly one of the authors that has been affected by all of this going on, so I definitely want to mention her books and mention her because she's just a doll, and I do recommend following her and starting to read her books because they are so cute. The next author is one of my favorite small town romance authors, and that is Melanie Harlow. So she has the Cloverleaf Farms series, and right now I believe there's 3 or 4 books out. Yes, there's 4 books out, and the 5th book is coming out soon, and I'm so excited for this series to come to an end, but at the same time I really don't want it to come to an end. But I love her books. I love just reading them. They're so good. I hope to read more from her because I know there's a lot from her backlist I haven't gotten to yet, unfortunately, but I really do recommend this series as a small town romance series. If anybody ever like asks for a small town romance recommendation, I'm always usually recommending this series. It's so good. It follows a group of sisters, and each sister gets their own romance, and the first one is Irresistible, and it follows a nanny and a older man and his 3 daughters. So it's a single dad romance, age gap romance. It's really cute, and I do love the rest of the series. It's honestly one of my favorite series out there. The next author I have to mention, I literally adore her. I can probably call her one of my favorite humans. I just love being friends with her on Facebook. I love watching her lives. I love just seeing her on Instagram, and like she's one of like the coolest indie authors. She is like a reader herself. She loves to check out other indie authors and fangirl about other authors, and that is Nyla Kay. Recently I have read her books in the past year or so, and I'm hoping to get through a lot of her other books because I haven't yet, but they are on my Kindle. And the one that I first started reading by her was Push, and that one was so sexy. I highly recommend it if you are looking for a fun, sexy read. So basically this is a male on female romance. I haven't really read that many in that kind of trope, but it was so good, and I really do love her books, and I just love her. So I definitely recommend checking her out. The next author, again, is another author that has sadly been affected by all of this, and so has Nyla Kay, who I just mentioned, and that is Harlow James. Harlow James has become, again, one of my favorite indie authors. I started reading her books, I believe, by last fallish. I first read One Look by her, and now I'm loving her Emerson Falls series. There's so far 2 books out, and the next book is coming out soon, and I can't wait to read it. And last but not least, I have to mention Brittany Cherry. I cry every single time I read one of her books. They are so good. They are so emotional. I can't even tell you where to start when it comes to Brittany Cherry. I love her books. I probably would recommend maybe reading Eleanor and Gray first. I adore her books. There's so many great books out there by her, so many great books on her backlist, and she has a couple books coming out, I believe, in this year, and she just came out with a recent book, and that was so good. Again, I cry with every book that I read by her, but I definitely do enjoy reading her books. So there you have it. There's just some of the indie authors that I have books by that I've read recently that I can remember off the top of my head. There's just so many amazing indie authors out there, and I love supporting them. Like I said, they are the people that really put themselves out there, that work so hard to get their books published because they have to self-publish, and I love reading their books so much. I probably read more indie authors than I do published authors. I love supporting them. I love talking to them on Instagram. I love doing giveaways with them. And with all this going on recently, I've definitely picked up more indie authors that I hope to mention in future videos because I haven't gotten to their books yet, but I have so many downloaded on KU and on my Kindle. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys start reading some of these if you haven't already read some of these authors, and if you have any recommendations, definitely let me know in the comments below, and let other people know who are watching this video who are looking for other recommendations. Like I said, there's probably so many authors that I have no idea even exist just yet, and I hope to get like so many more added to my list this year. But thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, everyone. Bye!